Could a debt jubilee reduce national debt? Have you ever wondered if wiping out debt could actually help our national finances? Today, we are going to look at the idea of a debt jubilee and its impact on national debt. A debt jubilee is when debts are canceled on a large scale, often aimed at private sector obligations like credit cards or student loans. But how does this relate to national debt, which is the money the federal government owes? First, it is important to note that debt jubilees usually focus on private debts, not government liabilities. If private debts were canceled, households might have more disposable income, potentially boosting consumer spending. However, this would not directly reduce national debt unless the jubilee specifically targeted government bonds, which is not common. Now, let's consider some concerns from a conservative fiscal policy perspective. One major issue is moral hazard. If people believe their debts will be forgiven, they might take on more debt without thinking about the consequences. This goes against the conservative principle of personal responsibility. Another concern is inflation. Large-scale debt cancellation could lead to monetary expansion, which might devalue the currency and increase inflation. This could harm the economy in the long run. Additionally, canceling debts can distort the market. It disrupts price signals and can lead to misallocation of resources, moving them away from productive uses. Republican priorities focus on reducing national debt through spending cuts and balanced budgets. A debt jubilee would conflict with these goals. Waiving debts without making structural changes does not address the root causes of overspending. Moreover, if a jubilee involves government bailouts, it shifts the burden to taxpayers, which contradicts the idea of limited government. Instead of debt forgiveness, Republicans often suggest alternatives like regulatory reform. Streamlining bankruptcy processes can help resolve debts without taxpayer involvement. Growth-oriented policies, such as tax cuts and deregulation, aim to increase productivity. This can broaden the tax base, allowing for sustainable debt servicing. Setting spending caps on discretionary spending can also help reduce borrowing driven by deficits. In summary, a traditional debt jubilee does not effectively reduce national debt and poses risks to conservative fiscal principles. While targeted relief for specific sectors may gain some support, broad debt forgiveness runs counter to Republican values of market discipline and budgetary restraint. Reducing national debt relies more on controlling spending and fostering long-term economic growth.